During the early 1970s, few English bands were as tenacious or energetic as the Groundhogs, and by 1972 they were onto their sixth album. In fact, they released two albums in the space of that year. And from the album Groundhogs, the track I Love Miss Orgny. Lots of open cadences, like preparing us for some really intensive build-up to come. A trademark of the Groundhogs, compositionally anyway, is to take a key, is to play in a single key and gradually build on it. Like start like kind of open cadence, minimal. Then start to put more accents in, rev the speed up just slightly, put a few more layers on, put some, pregnant pauses in, shuffle the cadence up slightly, speed it up even more, while staying in the same key.
The days that you're gone, I can't stand the silence. The hours that you're here, I can't stand your presence. The starlight that shone from your eyes in the beginning now blinds me with hate for you and all women. The ties that should bind, I want to cut into pieces. The paper I sign collects dirt in its creases. But while you're away, I can't stand longer. I detest being talked down, but I love every longer.
Notice how we've just stayed in like the key of A, but it went from being just kind of loose and like open cadence with them singing. Then it threw in more like this like definite rhythmic measure, and then it started to like layer on. We went through three changes while staying in the same key. Each with like a figure of eight, two.
It's strange how this change in our relations brings you nearer. It's weird how our fear for our position is much clearer.
Hear that bass right there?
I understand that it's underhanded to want to possess you, but every time you're here, then I'm filled with a need to hurt you. It's only one thing.
Notice that change right there, doom. But now we've gone to closed cadence. We were in open cadence for a while, kind of rhythmless. Now we're more like measured.
And that's the thought of losing you, and I can't go no further, 'cause I love you so.
how this riff just emerges after minutes of it from the same key, from the same tempo. It's just kind of like been waiting to happen, and then it just suddenly starts like flaring out. And amid those like sounds that were starting to layer on, those kind of spacey, searing, almost kind of like proto post punk in a way. Now the interplay is really starting to get more dense. We had that bit of acoustic thrown in there, and the that searing. Hear that? Yeah, that. We're scaling up. We're still in A, but we're scaling up from starting in like the fifth, which would be no. Yeah, E, E. Yeah, the amount of things that you can explore when you just pick a key center and just start slowly and start layering on, start winding up, start shifting the cadence, the layers, throwing in different instruments, and just building in intensity. And let's see, let's see what the lyrics were about. The days that you're gone, I can't stand the silence. The hours that you're here, I can't stand your presence. Um, huh. Bit of a mixed emotion right here. The starlight that shone from your eyes in the beginning now blinds me with hate for you and all women. Ah. A relationship turns sour. The ties that should bind, I want to cut into pieces. The paper I signed collects dirt in its creases. Uh-oh, he married this person. But while you're away, I can't stand the longing. I detest being tied down, but love the belonging. Yeah, once again, the mixed emotions. Love-hate relationship. It's strange how this change in our relations brings you nearer. It's weird how I fear for our position is much clearer. Very well measured couplets. I understand that it's underhanded to want to desert you, but every time you're here, then I'm filled with the need to hurt you. Well, this is getting kind of sinister. It's only one thing that stops me from committing murder, and that's the thought of losing you. I can't go no further. I love you, Miss Orgny. Huh. Um, is there a significance to that particular name? Oligogony, the situation where an ant colony has multiple egg-laying queens, but they remain far apart from one another in a nest. Huh. Yeah, it's the closest I can come to a definition of that one. Yeah, the Groundhogs, trio at this point of Tony McPhee, who plays guitar, Mellotron synthesizer, wah-wah pedal, and produced the album. Clive Brooks on drums and Peter Cruickshank on bass. And engineered by Martin Rushent, yeah, who would later work with Magazine, The Human League, did a lot of great stuff in the early 80s. Let's hear another track from this album. Son Song, or S1 Song, however you pronounce that.
Friends told me the other day your race is almost run. I just have time to stop and say the race has just begun.
This is in the same key as the last song, but much different, of course.
Friends told me the other day your song was almost sung.
His the arrangement to this track is very outside its time. It's got this like kind of brisk. It kind of it sounds kind of new wave in a certain way.
Just that time to stop and say the melody is young.
It's really lively for its time period and kind of stripped in a way.
Friends told me the other day your tale is almost told. I just had time to tell them I'm just not really growing old. My friends watched me the other day, they all sat by my side.
Hear those synthesizer sounds kind of buried in the mix?
Just had time to say goodbye before I lay back and died.
I think that's what it is. I'm hearing like a zzz, kind of low in the mix, kind of a sustained buzz. It starts kind of like in this sort of blues rock structure, and then it gets kind of fractious as he goes down those keys, those chords. I think Dr. Feelgood perhaps would have envied this track, even if, well, a little bit more avant-garde than they would usually get, but it's got that really kind of, I don't know, staccato quality to it, that, and very slashing like they were. I love their use of sonics. Yeah, what kind of what meters were they doing towards the end? I couldn't quite. It was like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. They kept on changing, pulling notes, like subtracting certain notes and everything. Always this band, I swear, was like the perfect midway between blues rock and like avant-garde rock, a la the Magic Band. And that they were never like blues rock can be really primal, but also really predictable because it's based on a reoccurring motif that you can trace in advance. A 12 bar 1 4 5 progression, and they retain just enough of the kind of bluesy character while taking liberties with chords, maybe not even bothering so much with a 1 4 5 as just staying in the one and just exploring the sonic potential and the scale of that one chord, and then it's the explorations that bring in that more avant-garde element, and yeah, and it's because of that, that perfect midway they find between the two extremes. It's that I find them a lot more listenable than, say, I don't know, Savoy Brown or John Mayall on one side, or the Magic Band on the other. And Yeah, and I definitely see their sound as being a precursor to a lot of the styles that developed later in the decade. Um, and Even if they kind of fell off the radar around that time, they were really tenacious up through like 1976, and then it's like Tony McPhee disappeared for a while. Let's see what the lyrics to this song were about. My friends told me the other day, your race is almost run. I just had time to stop and say the race has just begun. Um, my friends told me the other day, your song is almost sung. I just had time to stop and say the melody is young. My friends told me the other day, your tale is almost told. I just had time to tell them I'm outwardly growing old. My friends watched me the other day. They all sat by my side. I just had time to say goodbye before I lay back and died. Um, I look back on my life, on the life I've led. Perhaps I should have done other things instead. Thinking about the people that I went to school with. They're all narrow and complacent fools. I didn't seem to fit into their world, had no interest in what they told. Branded as an idiot when results came around, but numbers don't tell you if your brain is sound. Used to want vengeance for what they did, suffered humiliation at the hands of these kids. But it doesn't really matter, it's just out of spite. I only know I lived the life I like. Huh. So it's like this person is kind of reflecting on different parts of life. I would say the takeaway message, the line, I look back on the life I've led, perhaps I should have done other things instead. There was a YouTuber recently who made a remark to the effect that even when you're relatively young, like in the first third of your life, you should take stock of the things that you want to do in life and try to do, make sure that um, some of your time each day is devoted to accomplishing those things. Because a lot of people put a whole bunch of things off until way late in life, and then suddenly they panic and have all these regrets. It's definitely something I live by. I mean, I, like, part of my life is, about earning a living, and a lot of my hours, the hours I have beyond that are about doing things to leave behind a legacy, which is the most important thing to me at this point. As I go into the second half, yeah, the Groundhogs with S1 song from the album Hogwash, and before that the track I Love Miss Orgny from Hogwash, their sixth album released in September, October of 1972. Yeah, very energetic band. Uh, for more Rubies and Sapphires from the catalog of the Groundhog, see the directory of albums by English G artists linked in the description below for red hot tracks and tasty purples from this album and the ones before it, the ones after, the ones before it, also released earlier that year, Who Will Save the World, The Mighty Groundhogs, and before that, Split, Thank Christ for the Bomb, and after that, Solid, Crosscut Saw, Black Diamond. Yeah, and many other English G acts like The Greatest Show on Earth, Gravy Train, um, and onward to bands like Gryphone, yeah, Gnidrolog, so many to explore. Like and subscribe and follow me on social media and leave a comment if there are any observations you have about these two tracks that we just heard, the layers, the sonics, the instrumentation, the effects employed, and the lyrics. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most ear travel trimaximalist, signing off.